Hello everyone, welcome to my review of Manchester by the Sea.
Hello darkness, my old friend, I've come to talk with you again.
The film is written and directed by Kenneth Lonergan, starring Casey Affleck, Lucas Hedges, Michelle Williams, and Kyle Chandler. The film is about Casey Affleck's character named Lee Chandler, who, due to the death of his brother, portrayed by Kyle Chandler, is forced to go back to his hometown of Manchester, Massachusetts. And he is now responsible for the guardianship of his nephew, portrayed by Lucas Hedges. And this film really deals with him having to relive and deal with past tragedies, as well as now the death of his brother. But before I get into my review, I just want to say that I will not be spoiling any of the plot, or at least try my very best not to, because I have to say right off the bat, I don't want to bury the lead on this. This is one of my favorite films of the year. First off, the positive aspects of the film. This film is impeccably well acted by really everyone involved, specifically by Casey Affleck, who, in my opinion, is probably going to get an Oscar nomination and perhaps win an Oscar for this film. His performance is really, I dare say, flawless. He is portraying a character who is such a broken person. He is such a hollow person. He is so removed from reality, from the world, and a lot of that has to do with a past tragedy that I believe is constantly haunting him, and it's definitely haunting him more so now that he has returned to his old town where it has happened. And in the film, you see him very reserved, almost deterred from humanity, deterred from life, and it's really interesting to see how he goes through this film, really dealing with trauma, dealing with mourning, because he now has to mourn the loss of his brother, someone who he was very close to. And it is a really, really amazing film that delves into the process of mourning and the process of trauma and loss and sadness. A lot of melancholy in this film. This film is not really an upper, as they say. It's not a very happy film because it deals with very melancholic themes. And in this film, you also get great performances by Lucas Hedges, who is an actor who has been doing a few minor roles here and there over the years in his young career. He portrays the young, teenaged nephew of Casey Affleck's character, and he does a fantastic performance, really capturing what it is like to be a teenager, doing all kind of teenaged angsty things, you know, having girlfriends, doing certain extracurricular activities, going to school, things of that nature, and now he has to deal with the loss of his father, and it is really heartbreaking to see someone that young have to deal with a tragedy like this. And we also get a fantastic performance by Michelle Williams. She gives a wonderfully authentic, powerful performances in her scenes with Casey Affleck. Once again, I think she will also be seeing a lot of awards recognition, particularly Best Supporting Actress nomination I definitely see is in her future, and very, very well warranted for it. Also, you get Kyle Chandler, who I've always been a huge fan of. Friday Night Lights is my favorite television show of all time. I've been a huge fan of him for years. I think he's a great actor, and I'm really looking forward to see him do more film work, and he is very solid in this film as well. Also, I will say Kenneth Lonergan is not a director who puts out a lot of films. I believe he's only done 2 films before this. But I will say this film is really, really beautifully and gorgeously well done. The direction in it is extremely solid. I would dare say flawless in style and execution. He is able to balance all of the emotions that are in this plot. Like I said, it is a very emotional film, but it is also a film that's really about life and about dealing with life things. They are very real things that we have to deal with as well as the characters in this film, and he does it in a very natural way. There really is not a lot of powerful bombasticity with the film. There's not a lot of these big, Oscar moments or things of that nature. It is very naturally and well-paced throughout. Generally well-paced. I'll get to some of the negatives later on, but I'll say this, it is flawlessly well-directed. He's able to balance the plot, like I said, but he's also able to mesh in flashbacks as well, because he doesn't present to us all of the information right away. We have to kind of be very patient with this film. He slowly reveals everything through a tapestry of plot and character things so that we get a fuller picture of who Casey Affleck's character is and why he is the way he is. Because he is not a very likable character. He is not someone I guess we would want to root for generally, because he's kind of a bad guy. Also, I will say the cinematography in this film is gorgeous. It is beautiful. The camera has a way of being unobtrusive in the film. It sits back and lets scenes play out themselves. Scenes tend to go on for a little while, a lot of long takes, a lot of long scenes and things of that nature, but it really plays out in almost a play-like form. It reminds me a lot of a film I've seen called Yi Yi, where it's dealing with similar things, dealing with life in general, dealing with mourning and sadness and death and just big life things. And the way that film was particularly shot is it was shot in almost a documentary type style, where the camera just sits back, doesn't really move a lot, and we just see the characters play out their lives. It is a really natural way to shoot film, and I do appreciate it as an aesthetic. It really lets the film exist naturally. As much as I like the film, there is a couple of things about the film that are negative. The film is lengthy. It does feel long. The film clocks in about 2 hours and 17 minutes, and it is a rather slow-paced film. The plot pacing is a little bit of an issue, but I found myself really involved in this world and involved in these characters, so I really didn't find that too much to be a problem, but it could be a problem for some. Also, like I said, Casey Affleck's character, who is genuinely the main character of the film in which the plot revolves around, is not a good guy. He is a rather grayish guy, or I just say bad type of guy. And if you are not able to grab onto him emotionally and really get invested in his character because he is not, a typical protagonist, you may not care about the emotional aspects of the film. So that really all depends on who you are as a viewer and how you watch the film. For me personally, I like these more complicated grayish characters who are not good people, because we live in a world with a lot of character and moralistic ambiguity. Also, the film is a lot funnier than I thought it was going to be. I thought this film was going to be very dark, very foreboding, almost something that I couldn't see myself revisiting again because it is so emotionally powerful. And it is. It is an emotionally powerful film, but there is some lightness in the film, and a lot of the lightness has to do with the relationship between Casey Affleck's character and his nephew. They have a very genuine uncle-nephew relationship. If you have a fun uncle, an uncle who's close to you, you understand that type of rapport back and forth. You can say things to your uncle that you couldn't say to your parents. You can act around your uncle the way you couldn't act around your parents. You know what I mean? Things of that nature, and it comes off in the film very genuinely. Also, I think Kenneth Lonergan does a fantastic job of portraying small-town New England, because Manchester, or Manchester by the Sea as its official town name is a small town. It's only a small town of about 5,000 people on the North Shore in Massachusetts, and you really get that small town sensibility within the film. And if you are from a small town, or if you understand the small town mindset, you really can appreciate that aspect of the film. I am from New England. I've lived here my whole life. I've seen the way small town mentalities are, and you get that in this film. Everyone knows everyone. You've all grown up together. Your parents have grown up together. It's a very tight-knit community in some towns up here. Yes, there are large metropolises like Boston, but once you get out into the smaller towns or the smaller places, it really is kind of exactly like this film is. And the people in this film act pretty much like a lot of people act here in New England. It was really amazing to see that. I know we've seen it in many other films. They've been making films in small New England towns now for, generations, for years. But it is still something that's interesting to see, and it really works with the plot. It works in the sense where you have a very small story about this one man, his relationship with his nephew, dealing with past trauma, dealing with his life, and things of that nature, but the themes are universal. They're very big, they're very wide, there's something we can all kind of understand and all have some type of connection with. That's what I really feel the strongest aspect of the film is that it can both be extremely small but have huge echoes. So I really, really love this film. It is one of my favorites of the year. I'm gonna go super high with my rating. Some may not agree with it, but I'm going to go a full 5 out of 5 stars. I really, really liked this film a lot. So that is my review of Manchester by the Sea, written and directed by Kenneth Lonergan, starring Casey Affleck, Lucas Hedges, Michelle Williams, and Kyle Chandler. If you like this review, please check out my other movie reviews, as well as my episode reviews for the various comic book television series.